I'd like to thank you for the invitation. I'm not a native English. That's sometimes and very often I don't understand all your or nice language, but sorry for that. But I try to be, yeah, hopefully you will understand me. Tango November 8 Kilo. Originally, we planned to go to Congo September last year. We work on that, usually we work on 2, 3 locations at the same time because we never know what will happen. There are always some obstacles, difficulties in communications with the national PTT or with to get all the permission to, basically to work from the certain location. With the Congo, then we had to delay from, because we didn't have a license, we delayed the departure from September to November, and then we had to postpone it to January. I think all of you, oops, you hear me. All of you know where is the Tango November, or let's say where is the Congo. This is our team. We had almost 500 kilograms of the luggages. Just for the curiosity, we had the flights to Africa usually allow you 2 times 23 kilograms, plus depending on the flight from 8 to 12 kilo of the onboard luggage. And each person could have around 1, maximum 2 kilogram of personal things. Maximum. The rest was the completely radio stuff, cables, everything else. But basically in Africa you don't need much. You just need a shirt, and that's what you need. When we arrived there, Point Noire in Congo, we spent 2 hours at the customs. It's always very tricky. Even we hired special person, paid person in advance, and we had also the local French guy, the owner of the QTH. They both help us. Then still we had to wait for 2 hours, and all the negotiations, they didn't want to allow us to give us the luggages. They wanted some money and so on, and they received of course some money. And we lost, well, we have, 1 luggage has not been received at that time, which is always quite tricky because you cannot put everything as you would like to have it. That's, we had 2 cars rented, and that's one of them. Welcome to Africa, the roads. Just outside the Point Noire, the big city, you are 10 kilometers far from the Point Noire, and the mats, this is the streets over there. Okay. I'm just too quiet. This is the location from the plane, and that's our house. We rented the whole house with a big garden, and behind the garden was another, it was basically the tree, not the tree, the grass. We could use a lot of space, and you will see later on the pictures. And that's how we started. LA7Gia was going to Bouvet, and he asked us if he could start with the 160, because he had two or 3 days before departure, and we operated the first day the 160. He asked for this. You can see our setup for the top band and the 80 meters. Basically, vertical was here. Okay, I have a laser, I think. It's okay. Here is the vertical. It's 80 meters, 60 meters. We had 4 beverages. One for the Oceania, JA, European, and NA. That's another setup where you can see the 30-meter vertical. We had faced 2 elements for the North America. Oops, okay, let's over there. And 2 elements on the 40 meters for the EU. And this is our QTH and the land around we could use. It's another view on the antennas. We had 3 spider beams, 1, 2, 3, and we had another antennas which we use mainly for the FT8 and those antennas over here. It was the AG antennas for the 6 meters and 10 meters. Over C, you can see the vertical 160 and also dipole. During the night, it was the 160 vertical. During the day, it was the dipole for the FT8 and 20 meters. We used the same coaxial cable. We wanted to maximize each antenna for the day and night operation. That's the setup. Magic of the setup is basically each person has their own radio. We were 8 persons plus the FT8. Each person is responsible for their own setup. We had a set of bandpass filters. Basically, there are 2 or 3 filters for each band. And whenever you wanted to go for the 10 meters, you just take the 10-meter filter. Sometimes it was not enough. We still had interference from the other bands. Therefore, we had to put in the serial 2 filters for the 10 meters. Sometimes, not always. And then we had a special panel where all the antennas were, outside antennas were connected from the one side, and you had your own coax, and you wanted to have for 20 meters, you just select it and you connect it. You were responsible for selection of your operation. I mean, for your radio, you selected your, you took your coax, connected here to the proper antenna. Of course, there was a chat. We used the DX lock. We had a chat, and we always announced, okay, I go to 20, I go to 15, I go to 17, whatever. The first day, whenever we arrived, we tried to operate as quickly as possible. Therefore, every person just take the antenna they know and they build. I think this is for the 6 meters. Yeah, this is 6 meters and below is 10 meters. Spider beam. And this is 160 vertical, 160 vertical with the top load capacitive head. This is the view of the spider beams. Another view on this is 80 meters vertical. We wanted, because we operated at the same time 160 and 80 meters, those 2 antennas were on the totally different opposite sides, not to interfere to each other. And this is 30 meter, and this is phased 40 meter verticals. We tried to, we had 2 phase verticals, one to, I think was US and Europe, or Japan. We usually build those setup, all the antennas, within 2-3 days. As we are carrying always the same setup, or more or less the same setup, we know how to build it, and each person try to do their best to be able basically to operate at the same time, let's say quick on the radio. For the first time, we had, I would say, for us, ideal QTH, because we had own land, I mean own QTH, and also, as I said, the land which we could use outside of the QTH. It's quite an exception, I would say. It's just a view on various antennas. The spider beams always from 20 to 10. Behind you can see this 10 elements, antenna for the 10 meters and 6 meters. What was funny, not so funny, as I said, we lost one luggage at the beginning. We have not received it, and it arrived second day. But we were not able to get it because it was, I think, Saturday, and we called them. We called to the airport, and it was quite difficult. And they told us, okay, it's weekend, we don't work, and so on. I think we got this missing luggage after 3 days, and we knew it was already there in the airport, but we were not able to collect it. And these are the 2 elements antennas, 12, 15, and 17. Sometimes, well, they're so close, you cannot really operate in the same direction because it's so close, the SWR really interfering to each other, but that's fine. That's fine, they operate well. And this direction was the JA Far East. This direction was the Europe. Therefore, those 2 are in the Europe, and this is JA, and it's fine. It operated fine. The weather, you can see, the weather was, so we had a rain almost every day, strong rain, but within 1-2 hours, it completely disappeared, and it was, yeah, we could operate normally. This is the view on the 6 meters and 10 meters. Another view on those antennas. We have, you can see, these are the just the ropes, our rotators. Whenever you wanted to put it on, we just rotate it manually, and it's quick and reliable. Basically, you need Japan in the morning, during the day Europe, and afternoon US. Only those 3. Sometimes in the morning you just need VKZL. We try to be on the VKZL, but it was depending on the conditions, of course. That's another view on the antennas. I think we had many antennas. Something like 500 meters. It was 500 kilograms of the really, all this equipment, computers, networking. You cannot see it much, but it's beverage for the Japan, or Far East, let's say. And Q100. 100, it was the first try of the Q100. We didn't have the antenna dish at that moment, and we just used from the kitchen, and it worked. It was funny, it worked. It was not very strong, but we made a few QSO with this, but the guy was quickly tired, unfortunately. Yeah. Then we agreed with the owner that we could use their satellite dish. We promised that we will put to the original state as it is, then we dismantle it, and that's the final working condition. We did, I think, 1,500 QSO on the satellite dish Q100. It's quite popular, and it's funny to work over this. This is night view. I explained this is our switch box. These are the incoming antennas, spider beams, verticals, everything, and each person, Oscar Kilo 1, Golf Kilo. He had, and he chose which one he would like to connect to. And it's relatively good because in the expedition you are tired. You operate many hours per day, you sleep 3, 4, 5 hours a day, and it's very easy to make mistake, to go on another band where is someone else, to have two stations on the CW on 20 meters, and you can make very quickly problem burn one of those radios. Therefore, Petr OK1 Bravo Oscar Alpha has did it, and it worked, I would say, for our DXpedition purposes. That's our team. Over here is the SSB team. We always put them by the side because they are very loud, and they are very loud. It's hard to listen to the. Sometimes the CW, it's you need to focus on the signals which are not so loud, and we wanted to have them in another room, but it was not possible. We just keep them far away from us. That's every person has their own computer, as I said, or almost every person. Over here, you can see these are the FT8 control. The FT8 radios we had in another table. I can show you later on. That the person which were able to operate on the whatever CW or SSB, at the same time they were able to operate on the FT8, which we had interconnected remotely to the computers. And always you see some filters, one or two filters. Here are the stacks filters, because we wanted to have kind of protection between the stations. Amplifiers we use usually Juma from Finland amplifiers. We have also one SP, I think one SP. And here are our FT8 stations. FT8 stations, which is Kenwood TS480, remotely controlled. And it's our loud SSB team. That's how it is. It's Sun SDR2DX, how I see it on the DXpedition side, your signals. When there is relatively high pileup, a lot of stations calling you. We had the beverages on 160 and 80. We didn't have, unfortunately, on the high brands, I mean on the 40, 30, which was disadvantage because it would help us a lot. But that's how we have the configuration. And that's FT8, TS480, as I said, and two remotely controlled over the tablets. You could, because it was over the Wi-Fi, you could take them to whatever location, I mean to whatever station, and you could operate them. We use MSHV, Bulgarian software. We operated on the, well, we had this. We operate on the at the same time on the. It's called multi-slots operation, and depending on the frequency, depending on the conditions, we operated from 1 to 5. The power was just 200 watts. As you can see, there are no amplifiers. Only when we work on 80 and 160, we put more. But regular 200 watts, even with the multi-slots, were quite okay. Here is the Pavel OK1 Golf Kilo with the remotely controlled FT8. We were very happy that we could offer to you real-time log. It was not easy to arrange this because we had to, we needed to have the internet connectivity 24/7, and whenever it was disrupted for whatever reason, immediately there were information that DX Summit or another sources, well, I'm not in the log and so on. It was not so. Sometimes there are some disruptions, but most of the time we were able to provide an online log. This is our generator, 30 kilowatts. There is no power lines, nothing. Just 1,000, I think we had something like 1,200 liters or even more. But it was, it worked perfect. We just, one day, it was broken, but we had to wait something like 8 hours for repair of it, and after it works automatically till the end of the our operations there. This picture is also on the QSL card. Heavy rain, which were really every day. Of course, our washing machine and basically the sun helped us a lot. Modification of the ICOM 705 for the 60 meters, I suppose. One of the burned filters, one filter or two filters were burned, and we check them. It always happens that we have some radios, some filters, some power supplies. It happens always, or amplifiers. Cows. We were so scared of the cows because we knew before that there's cows, but we were scared that they will not see the wires and they will damage antennas. But they are very smart. They see all those anchors, they see the cables, they have seen everything. And basically, of course, it's 160 vertical. The radials we had to repair, but they never touch the radiation part, I mean the vertical part of the antenna or the anchors. Food we had a great. There was a local family which cooked for us 3 times a day, and it was perfect. We were really responsible just for the radio. The rest was well served for us. And that's the family which cook us the meals every day. And always when we reach certain amount of the QSO contacts, we try to make a picture with one of the major sponsors. And it's not always easy to make such a picture because always one of these guys is smiling. And we just need to do it many times. It's 100,000 QSO. Our aim is always to have, we hear that today about the FT8, the FT8 below 50%, that whatever amount of the QSO we will do, that FT8 is maximum 50%, not more. We don't want to do it as a digital expedition. It's 150, and that's the after the finish, one of the latest pictures, I think. And we are on the way home. It's Point Neure. This is the owner of the QTH and some of his friends. All of these are the French guys which moved from the France to the Congo, the same language, and they married with the new wives, and they are quite happy. And that's the final numbers of our contacts. We were so happy to make so much on the CW. We also You can see 13 centimeters, I mean the Q100, and of course the high bands. We had very good conditions on 10, 12 and 15 meters. That's we didn't focus much on the 20 meters as the high bands were open. Focus was on low bands and high bands, which were not so much activated years ago. It's our daily number of the QSO, and that day we had a broken generator. And our internal target was to make always above 10K QSO. This was already the dismantling of the antennas and building of the antennas at the beginning. And that's how it looks. And that's it. Any question?
Hello. Excellent operation, by the way. Just wanted to ask you, pick up on something you said in your presentation. You ran the TS480s flat out on FT8, is that right? You ran them at full power, TS480s.
Yes.
You did visual. Did any of them fail?
No.
Wow. That's impressive.
Well, because we have this 482 with 80 with 200 watts,
Yeah.
and we run 150 maximum.
Yeah, okay, it's still really good.
And depending on the, as I explained earlier, the multi-slot, it was 1 to 5, depending on the conditions.
Yeah, I saw some, and that's very good. Thank you.
Peter, thanks for the talk and excellent presentation of what it felt to be like there. Interested to know if you worked any stations over the pole from that location pointing north. Alaska,
Sometimes you don't know from which side the signal really comes. Sometimes we are so surprised that I know that I remember one moment in the night I was working the Americans on 20 meters, 2, 3 a.m. morning, and I was so surprised because normally at that time the band was closed. I shouldn't hear them on 20 meters. And then 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock morning, they were very strong for whatever, 40 minutes, and we could run them. That's sometimes you really never know from which way the signals would come.
Thanks, Peter, and again, my congratulations on a great expedition and a great talk. You showed us a picture of a spectrum scope.
Sure, yeah. So it was some SGO2DX radio.
40 meters
It was also 40 meters CW.
When you were operating on CW and you could see a spectrum scope, did you use the peaks on the scope to deal with your pilot?
Yes. This was my radio.
I really work, I can go back. It depends on the pilot. I'm not. Oops. Okay. If I try to find this picture. Okay, it's here, I think. Okay. Basically, it depends on the pilot. If I'm able to I'm always stayed in the frequency if there are 1, 2, maximum 3 stations. Whenever it goes more stations, I need to move away. And who wins? Wins the station over here. You see, I'm not following the path this way. Okay, here is alone, here is alone, here is alone. Therefore, the quick way to work us, or let's say work me, just to find the empty spot. Because I would not go here. Doesn't make sense. or doesn't make sense to go somewhere here where there are more stations. Basically, I try to be myself. Pumping, it's quite difficult to work me on the other side because I'm not really following the rule. But if you find an empty spot and you go here, it's very probably that I will work you within few minutes.
Did you therefore find that it was more efficient? I mean,
Yes.
you were able to work people faster.
Yes, because especially on the 40 meters,
Yeah.
you make one QSO and there are 4 stations calling you immediately at the same time.
Yeah.
And you can really, if you want to have a rate, whatever, 140, 180, you need to be quick, efficient. You cannot ask 3 times to repeat stations. It's better to move somewhere else where it's one station and just move, just to be, let's say, effective on the number of the QSO per minute.
Using MSHV, did you find that you had issues with QSOs made sending 73s and not in the ADI flog?
No, I think not. I think not. We had some issues, not with MSHV, with the synchronization, but it was our, synchronization is not always so easy. Of course, we had GPS, we had some internet access and so on. And there are also some extra programs which helps you to be sharp exactly with the time period, because you have to be in the time period. And of course, and you can see the time difference immediately if you are off, whatever. Therefore, our aim was always to be as sharp as possible according to the conditions which allow us to work.
How did you get on with the static on top band and 80? Because that's quite a problem there.
Always. Always. Static on the 160 in the Africa. It's sometimes you don't hear anything, even with the beverage. It's so difficult. But, well, without beverages, we couldn't really operate. But we had, the beverages worked fine. And that's allow us to work this almost 2000 QSO on the top end.
Again, an excellent DXpedition. Did you plan the antenna locations before you left with Google Earth, or when you got there?
No, before. Usually we plan this before, and when we are on the spot, we take the Google Maps, we draw it before. And but the final planning is when you are on the spot, because sometimes, as one luggage was missing, we couldn't put all the antennas as we wanted, because we wanted to start the operation. Then we had to improvise a little bit, but always helps to plan it before arrival.
Peter, Tom, GM4FDM. How do you find the Sun SDR compared to something like a K3 or something?
Well, I can't compare it to the case. Well, you see, if I would have a K3, I would just go this way or this way. Over here, I can be, for me, very effective in the pile-up, where I can see where the stations which calls me and so on. Therefore, this visualization of the pile-up is, for me, great tool, basically. And I had before the K3, I would never change it back.
Any more? Any last questions?
Thank you. Sorry to come back. On this particular radio, I see that Sherwood's given it a panning on the dynamic range, but that's not in the real world. How did you find the dynamic range of the radio?
Well, this radio is quite good, I would say. It's, of course, it's, on the Sherwood you will not find it when you go to the Sherwood comparison, because the Yankees doesn't want to check it, because I suppose they would be surprised with the results. But that's how it is. I'm very happy. Of course, me personally, I could also listen to the FT10. Which we had also from the ESU. It is also a great radio. We had also ICOM 705, but I just myself prefer this radio, because this visualization for me is something you don't have with the other radios.
Thank you very much.
And any last questions? No? Peter, great presentation.
Thank you.
About a great